What's going on YouTube? Today we are going to show you how to beat the 3CS challenge on hard mode. This is the one that you get to encounter in chapter 17 when you go to the Shinra Combat Simulator. And so it's kind of challenging, right? The first time you do it, it's gonna be kicking your ass a little bit. But once you understand how to cheese it, you're gonna do well, right? And I've done a bit of testing, and you know what? The secret is actually the materia setup. Now, there's like 5 rounds, and really, the last boss is probably the hardest guy because he's got this move where he like does heaps of damage to you, and it's super fast to wind up, so like you don't really have time to react to it, but it's lightning based. So you know what that means? You just have to tune in and I'll show you how to beat him with like no skill. Alright, like you could be like a shit player and have the right materia set up and you'll do really well. And I'll show you how well you can do, because I'll show you how to do it with Aerith, right? Who's like really hard to play well one-on-one. I'll show you how to do it with Barret, I'll show you how to do it with Tifa, and then I'll show you how to kill it with Cloud, right? Like I did Cloud's run, like with the others. The others were like, I think around 3 minutes, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Cloud's run, 2 minutes and 10, right? So just tune in, watch it, it's gonna be really cool. All right, I'll see you in there.
Now what you want for your materia setup is you want to have lightning linked to your elemental materia. If you have only one elemental materia, stick it on your armor. If you have 2, good, stick it on both your weapon as well as your armor. Also, you obviously want to have healing so that you can stay alive. You want to have first strike so that you can have some ATB to start the round, because these rounds are pretty short, they're not going to be too long. The other thing you want to have is ATB stagger. On hard mode, the way to do damage is through the stagger mechanic, and so the moment you stagger a creature, you want to be able to have some ATB to follow up with a skill or like a magic attack, so it's nice to get a big boost when you do that stagger. It's like a little reward, so make sure you have that equipped as well. Finally, make sure that you also have time materia, because time materia is super handy for those freaking pesky, fast, nimble monsters. Now with this first round, the guy that skates is the annoying one. He's super fast and he's super annoying. So what you want to do is you want to make him stop. Just cast stop on him and it will make it so much easier to kick his ass.
Oh no, you don't. It's over. That'll do. That's that. That it?
This guy here isn't too bad, but he has a pounce attack that will ground you to the floor that will waste a few seconds. So what I like to do is triple slash the moment he starts to approach you. Otherwise he'll be backing off most of the time, as you'll see in the video, so you just want to just keep on the pressure.
Try this. Was never in doubt.
Now this guy here is the most annoying one out of all of them. So what you want to do is you want to try and make him whiff during one of his special attacks. The moment he whiffs and you're close by, cast stop, then just wail on him. He doesn't have much resistance to stagger, so as soon as you stagger him, just go triple slash and finish him off before he unfreezes.
Get ready. Shit. Take it easy. Here we go. You're mine. See ya. Nothing to it.
With this guy here, he's just a stationary doll, so you just wail on him. As soon as you see pressured, you use the focus thrust, build up the stagger, and make sure that you have enough so that when you do stagger him, you go to town on this guy. You either can just triple slash the shit out of him, or you can use Thundergar.
That'll do. No holding. Let's do this. Here it comes. You're done. That'll do. Let's go.
And finally, the last guy. Because we prepared and we had lightning materia linked to elemental to our armor, all of his most dangerous attacks are going to actually heal us, and it's not going to interrupt our attack, right? So all you need to do is cast Thundergar on him every chance that you get, and that will slowly whittle his health down. Then the moment he closes his body so that there's no more of those spinning disc things, then you just go in for the full-on assault and finish him off.
Bang! Double time. Here we go. Shit. All right. Nothing to it.
That was super easy, right? Well, I want you to watch the next few fights with the other characters to really be able to appreciate just how powerful Cloud is. He's actually a really well balanced character. He's got good attack, and the main thing is he's got really good range. Like when he's far away, he's able to close that distance real quick, which is what you'll see the other characters may not be able to do, such as Tifa. Now with Barret, it's pretty much the same strategy. You cast stop on the mobile guy, and then afterwards you just try and wail them down. If the other guy happens to come close, you use Smackdown for the 2-for-1 because it's AoE. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing.
Why don't you just sit back and watch? Don't say I didn't warn you. around the world and back. Oh yeah, another one in the bag.
With this guy here, it's the same strategy as before, but with Barret, you want to try and keep the distance a bit further away so that he doesn't pounce you. But other than that, just basically build up the stagger meter, stagger him, and go hard to town. I like to use Maximum Fury, but it's up to you.
Jump on it, asshole! Bring in the heat! Fire in one off! Here it comes! Don't stop now! Check out this shit right here! And don't come.
Now this annoying guy, there's a bit of luck that's involved with this, but you want to use the same sort of strategy. And one thing that's really good about Barret is that he's got focus shot, and it takes a little bit of time to charge up. So if you see him and you're charging up and he disappears and he reappears somewhere else, there's a high chance that you'll be able to hit him. Once you stagger him, you'll actually be able to see why ATB stagger helps so much. You see his meter just build, and when you do, make sure that you use point blank. And the reason is because once you have 2 bars of point blank, the first shot will hit him immediately, and the second one is stuck to his body, and a few seconds later it's delayed and it will blow up. So even if he disappears somewhere else, chances are it's gonna blow up.
Fuck on this! Get your ass in gear! Try taking it easy. Keep pouring it on. Fire in one off. You ain't getting out of this. I'm coming for you. Ooh, gotta love it. Oh, we're done here.
Now this is basically tank versus tank. He really telegraphs his attacks, and so the moment you see it, just evade it and it'll be fine. And you just gotta, repeat the same strategy. I like using point blank because it does quite a bit of damage. Other than that, just whittle him down and it'll be easy.
Beat this. Asshole. Ah! Yeah. Rah! Asshole. Don't look now, but it's about to get real. Don't say I didn't warn you. Beat this. Something now. Don't send you around the world and back. Got a whole heap of land with your name on it. And there you have it.
Now with this last guy, it's pretty much the same strategy as before. You try and cast Thunder Gun on him. If you have the MP, do it. Make sure you save some for healing in case things stuff up, but that's the most effective way. Now if you don't have enough MP because you've used it before in the earlier rounds, then just make sure that you use your maximum fury, or you can use point blank or whatever you like. So after that one, you can really appreciate that Barret's pretty strong, but you can just see how much more powerful Cloud is, because he was like a good minute faster than Barret was. Now with Teeth Fizz approach, it's pretty much the same thing as what we've been doing, but the only difference is that you want to try and roll a lot, because Teeth has got some glaringly obvious range issues and they don't hone into the target, so make sure you roll so you don't whiff too much.
This'll help. That's a win.
This battle, it's melee on melee, and what's annoying about that is that he will actually pounce you or he'll interrupt your attacks while you're trying to do a flurry on him. And so what I decided to do was just cast stop on him and just go to town. I use Unbridled Strength as well as the triangle special ability in order to just unload on him.
All in the pool. Ha! No more games. It's over. Ha! Aha! You want it? Ha! Come on! There! Aha! That's the way to do it.
Now in this fight, it's an example of how annoying this guy can be when you don't have control of what's going on. And so you'll see that he just keeps disappearing everywhere, and he'll chuck those like spark things on the floor, and you really got to make sure that you see it. One thing you can do is, if he keeps disappearing, you press the X button and pause the game, and then afterwards you'll be able to look around, see where he's coming from, so you can anticipate which way to roll. Once you basically have him staggered, it's the same thing. Now I think that because the stagger is quite short, then you probably want to try and unload using really fast abilities, so whether that's True Strike or whether that's Overpower, but it's up to you.
This'll help. Go for it. You ready? Ha! Run! Yeah! Give him your arm! You're mine! Beat him! Ha! Ha! Big one! Yeah! Worked up a good sweat.
This guy is basically Tifa's punching bag. All you need to do is make sure that you have 2 levels of her special ability, so that's Unbridled Strength to get it all up to Ryzen 4, and then once you stagger him, you True Strike him, and you unload that combo with Ryzen 4 and Omni Strike on him, and just rinse and repeat.
We can do better. Yeah! Come on! Yeah! Ha! Don't think you'll walk away from this! Finish him off! Keep it up! Run! I see it! There! Ha! Focus! Ha! No more games! It's over! No! Yeah! Going in! Bingo! This fight's not over yet. You can do better than that. Much better.
With this last guy, it's the same strategy as before, but because Tifa is completely melee, it's a bit more annoying. So I think one of the things I added was steadfast block, and so that when you do have to encounter those spinning things, when you block it, it actually gives you more ATB so that you can cast Thunderguard sooner. Now once he closes up those spinning blades around his body, that's when you go in for the kill. He likes to back off a little, so when he's backing off, what you do is you use Overpower. When it's 100% efficient, what happens is that the Overpower, you can follow it up with another strike when you mash it, right? And she will actually close that distance for you with like some sort of split kick, and that's how you keep the pressure on. Wait for him to cast his special lightning attack, and you'll see in this part here, it actually heals you, and it actually causes him to be pressured, and that way you can build up the stagger meter, and then you can stagger him for the finish. Now with Aerith, I made a little tweak because you can't just have full-on thunder in your elemental setup. What I had to do was I also added in fire into the mix as well. So I took out ATB stagger and added in fire. Now the backbone of my strategy with Aerith is that because that really fast guy is reduced damage to thunder, you don't want to be spamming thunder, so that's why I added in fire before. And so you want to add in your arcane ward so you get 2 spells for 1, and then the moment that you stop him, you cast Firaga, and that will do double on him. Once you stagger him, just finish it off. I like to personally use Fire because I wanted to conserve a bit more MP, and it's a bit more MP friendly.
Let's get serious. Calm down already. Sorry, but I gotta. You're burning up. A bonus. What? This is gonna hurt. This one's for you. Get him. Get fired up. Yes. That wasn't so bad.
Now this guy here has that annoying pounce attack, so you'll be casting your spells and he'll pounce you and break out of that spell animation. And so I found that it's easier just to cast stop on him after you have an arcane ward already set down, and then just cast your spell. Now he's actually reduced damage to fire, so don't be a noob and cast fire like I did, okay? Use thunder.
That's it. Needs more magic. Take it easy, okay? And catch! This is gonna hurt. Another! Cut! Ah! That's it! Ha! One more blow! Ha! One more! This one's for you! How shocking! We'll make it quick. I'm backing off a bit. Cut! Moving on now.
Now this guy is not too bad because you're range as well, and so what you want to do is you want to try and build the stagger meter up. He will try to actually pop up really close to you for some reason, and so anytime that he does, be ready to dodge, unlike me, right? And then when it's time, just cast a quick spell, so whether that's fire or whether that's thunder, because he's going to disappear straight away. And when he's pressured, it actually builds a decent amount of stagger meter as well. And once you do stagger him, all you need to do is basically one Thundergar and it's GG.
Too bright? Kinda hot. Everything's spinning. No need to panic. Too much? I think we're almost done. See you around.
This fight for Aerith is actually not too bad. If you have heaps of MP, feel free to use Thundergar, but if you're running a little bit low or you want to conserve for the final one, just do Ray of Judgment because it does a decent amount of damage, and you know it's MP free, so it's pretty good.
That's it. Ready? One more shot. You jittery? Get him! Too bright? Glad that's over.
Now the trick to the final guy is Lustrous Shield. He's got those spinning discs that will hit you, and so if you have Lustrous Shield on, it actually blocks it for you, giving you time to actually cast your Thundergar spell. Now once you cast the spells, eventually just remember he will cast Jewel Strike on you, so if you can, block it, but if not, it's not the end of the world, you can just finish him off.
Keep him away. Try using it. This one's for you. How shocking. Another. Here it comes. One more shot. Too bright? What the? Cut! How shocking!
So that's my tutorial on how to cheese all the rounds of the 3CS candidates. And so you can see that my runs weren't perfect. There was times when I didn't even dodge, didn't even block, but the fact that I had really good materia set up, it determined the outcome of each of those matches. Now, I think that was a pretty good run, but I'm sure some of you guys out there would have been even faster than me. So if you have a faster run, feel free to share your build or post your video because I'd love to see it. Just a bit of, friendly competition. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and feel free to let me know which was your favorite run. Personally, I thought Cloud was just amazing.